It is hard for decent people, for good people, to understand how communists think and why communists say the things they say. It just is. You're a different species. A decent, normal person who wants the things you want is going to have a difficult time relating to a communist for the same reason they're going to have a difficult time relating to a lion on the Serengeti. It's just a different species. And so it's important we try to, as often as we can on this show, explain why they're saying the things they're saying. Because oftentimes, lots of the times, the right, normal people, decent people, you, me, we can get it wrong. We'll hear them say something and we'll think, wow, they're being, what a hypocrite. That's a huge one. The right loves to say that about the communists. So they're being hypocritical. How could he say that? That's so hypocritical. A great example of this is Barack Obama's infamous Attorney General, Eric Holder, committed communist, America hater, Eric Holder. Eric Holder went on the news. He's talking about all this DOJ stuff. Now, before we get to Eric Holder, this DOJ stuff looks serious. I don't know whether anyone's going to go to prison. I'm not here to tell you that. I'm not here to get your hopes up, but it's very clear this task force is taking this Russia hoax stuff seriously. They're combing through records. They're talking about indictments. We'll get to that in a few. Eric Holder went on the news and he said this.
This administration has used the Justice Department, has used the power, the investigatory power of the Justice Department to target political opponents of the president. I mean, you've seen Donald Trump talk about a whole range of things, most ridiculous, to talk about the possibility of indicting, prosecuting for treason Barack Obama. I mean, you know, these are dangerous kinds of things that this president is talking about. And I'm really concerned that this Justice Department, under Bondi, under Patel, will do things that are inconsistent with the traditions of the department.
Now, this is where if you haven't seen that before, I already know what's going through your head right now. What? How could he? The DOJ under Joe Biden just did all that. They already politicized the whole thing. When they went after Donald Trump, how could he say that? What a hypocrite. Okay? Remember when Kamala Harris said this?
He will weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. Round up peaceful protesters and throw them out of our country. And even, quote, terminate the United States Constitution.
You've got someone who has said that if he were back in office, he would weaponize the Department of Justice. Someone who has openly applauded insurrectionists as patriots. Someone who has said that they will go after their political enemies.
Again, it's very tempting to see things like that and say, what a hypocrite. That's hypocritical. That's what you guys are doing. Very tempting. But let's have a talk once again about communism itself. If you think of communism as a political ideology, a political stance, you can never and will never understand these people, why they think the way they think, why they say the things they say. It will always be beyond you. If you understand that it is a religion, communism makes way more sense. And it's not just that communism is a religion. It is one of those, and there have been and will always be many of those. It is one of those religions that does not share space with other religions. And look, I'm not going to indict this religion or that religion. Obviously, there are a million that could pop into your head. Islam is a great example. If you go to an Islamic country, and that is the law of the land, you will often find that over time, the Christians will be purged and removed from the country. Not all the time, but oftentimes. Jews, purged and removed from the country. Why is that? It's more of an exclusive religion where not only do they believe in only that, everything else has to be eliminated. That's exactly how communists think. They are not only the chief religion, all other religions should be purged. How does this pertain to what we're talking about here? When it comes to the forces of government, the FBI, DOJ, CIA, whatever, IRS, doesn't matter what it is. Eric Holder wasn't being hypocritical when he said, I'm worried they're going to use these things. In Eric Holder's mind, well, the DOJ should enforce the one true religion of the land. The DOJ, the FBI, the CIA, in Eric Holder's mind, in Kamala Harris's mind, in the mind of the communists, that should be their chief goal. It's not to hunt down child predators or secure the border or enforce the law. The communist never thinks about that. The whole point of these organizations should be to protect and move forward the communist revolution. He's not being hypocritical. He believes you should be thrown in a cage for being a Republican, and he also believes, he genuinely believes it, that it is an absolute outrage if you do the same thing to him for being a Democrat, because there should be only one religion in the government, his sick, demonic religion. And look, there's another part about what he just said. I'm going to rewind and ask Mr. Producer Matt to go ahead and bring this up again. There was another part of what he just said that is so revealing, and it should make all of us on the right, it should make all of us a little bit ashamed. This is what he said.
These are dangerous kinds of things that this president is talking about, and I'm really concerned that this Justice Department, under Bondi, under Patel, will do things that are inconsistent with the traditions of the department.
They'll do things that are inconsistent with the traditions of the department. That's an interesting way to put that, isn't it? What traditions would he be talking about? What traditions would Eric Holder have grown accustomed to, and now he sees those traditions being broken? Well, it's quite simple. It's this tradition. The tradition of the American left, of the American communist, is when they take power, government power, any power, but we're just going to make it about government for now. When they take government power, they view it as a vehicle to push forward the communist revolution, and they will use government power in every imaginable way, in every way they can possibly get away with until the courts or the public stop them. They will use government power against their political opponents. It's just how the communist thinks. Government power should be used, and they will violate every law without a second thought, every norm, you name it. That's what he thinks it should be used as. And what he's gotten used to is he will do that. He will take over. Joe Biden will take over the presidency. He'll open up the border. He'll sue to keep the border open. He'll import as many barbarians as humanly possible. He will send the DOJ, FBI after pro-lifers. He'll write down, he'll put domestic school board moms on the domestic terrorist list. You name it, he'll do the most horrible, evil, lawless things in the world. And in his mind, that's how it always operates, and we never respond in kind. That is the real tradition Eric Holder's talking about here. The American Democrat, the American communist has gotten used to a system where he can operate like a rabid animal, and when the right takes over, we'll do the, well, what was it Bill Barr said? Not a tit for tat.
Those who broke the laws will be held to account. But this cannot be, and it will not be, a tit-for-tat exercise. We are not going to lower the standards just to achieve a result.
You may like the sound of that. You know who else loves it? The communist. We're not going to lower ourselves. We're going to be to a higher standard. We're better than that. Yep. The communist animals who abuse this country, abuse the law, abuse their government positions, they love that way of thinking because they know when they're in charge, they will loot the treasury, pillage the house. When we take over, we're not going to do a tit for tat. We certainly don't want to punish you guys. No punishment. Just let me clean things up. I wouldn't want to lower myself to your level. The communist has grown accustomed to that. It's the only way I've ever known America to operate in my 44 years on this planet. The animals go crazy, the right takes over and tries to be the adults. We're going to do it the right way. But all that does is encourage the communists to do worse and worse and worse things. And that's why over the course of your life, no matter how old you are, You've watched them escalate, haven't you? Why is that? They'll do this under Jimmy Carter, and that's bad, right? But then the next time we get Bill Clinton, and he does even more. But then after Bill Clinton, Barack Obama continued 8 years, does even more. And then Joe Biden gets in, and it was just full-out communist dictatorship for 4 years. We had the American president threatening us with our jobs. Why are they only escalating? Because we are always above it. No tit for tat here. They always escalate because there's never a punishment for doing the horrible things they've done. And look, I don't want to get your hopes up or my hopes up, but when the director of the CIA, John Ratcliffe, goes on Fox News and says this, my hopes are getting up.
So what I think I hear you saying is there is still an opportunity for indictments, potential prosecutions, accountability from those people who may have lied under oath, like John Brennan, James Comey, and perhaps Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's why I've made the referrals that I have. D&I Gabbard has made referrals.
Yeah.
And why we're going to continue to share the intelligence that would support the ability of our Department of Justice to make bring fair and just claims against those who have perpetrated this hoax against the American people and this stain on our country.
Again, I want to reinforce something I've been telling you, something I'm going to repeat again and again. I don't know that somebody powerful is going to burn for all this. I know that they deserve it. I know that it is necessary. If nobody burns for all this, then we will have accelerated our end date as a nation. I really do mean that. The American people have had enough. They're sick of it. So I don't know that anyone's going to burn. I know they should. But I also know this. This appears so far to have a level of seriousness I have never seen before. When the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, when she gets a stack of declassified papers and walks into the Department of Justice, walks into Pam Bondi's desk and says, there's your crimes, prosecute. When the Director of the Central Intelligence Agency does the same thing, hey, I've made a referral, here's a stack of papers, I declassified them, prosecute. That sure sounds like they're taking it deadly serious. John Brennan's all over TV. I think he knows they're taking it seriously.
Tulsi Gabbard, she may be impaired on the ethics front, certainly, but she's not impaired on the intellect front. And so I can only presume that she is doing this intentionally mischaracterizing, misrepresenting, and lying about what she has found.
John Brennan is already attempting, it looks like to me, to try his criminal case, Lord willing, in the public square. I would imagine that you will see John Brennan on TV for a while until his $2,000 an hour lawyers tell him to shut his freaking mouth. But from everything I'm hearing, I think John Brennan might be the low-hanging fruit in this whole thing. Enjoy your time on TV, John. All that may have made you uncomfortable, but I am right. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.